Welcome, my son, to the weekend warm-up. Welcome to the weekend warm-up. It's the Dynasty Pulse Weekend Warm-up show on the Undroppables and Fantasy Football Plus, or Fantasy Football Plus and the Undroppables, if you swing that way. I am Biggs. We got Schultzy. We got Chev, the legendary ball knower, and we got Grindberg, and we are four hosts coming at you. What do we got this week? We got the news. We're going to get probed. That'll be fun. We got stock up and stock down. We got starts and sits. And let's get the show rolling with Grindberg with the news.
What is going on, everybody? It is, headed into the weekend here. It's the weekend warm-up, and we've got a pretty controversial topic already started. And
we've been arguing and delaying the start of the show for like 15 minutes.
So let's just get into it, because there was a start and sit question that I have posed our expert panel here, and it's a tough one because Tyreek Hill is kind of like the topic of discussion. I got a pretty important league here that I need to start. I need to sit one player, and I got Jauan Jennings, I got Tyreek Hill, I got Malik Neighbors, I've got Cooper Kupp, and I've got JSN, and I got to sit one. And Tyreek Hill was the guy that I had on the outs, and I'm starting to process things. And Schultzy and Biggs are on the Tyreek stardom side. Chev is on the Tyreek sit side. I was on the fence about this. Now I'm starting to look at my rankings a bit more. I see the matchup. I'm starting to look at Tyreek as potentially this could be his game. Biggs, let's start with you here, buddy. What are your thoughts on Tyreek this week, and if I should get him in my lineup?
Well, I think this week he's on the Dolphins, and I believe his last name is Hill. No. All right. So the Miami Dolphins played the Las Vegas Raiders last week in week 11. And the Las Vegas Raiders have absolutely shut down wide receivers on the outside throughout the course of the season. And they with Nate Hobbs playing as the nickel corner and lining up against slot receivers, those slot receivers haven't done much against the Raiders either. Well, last week, Nate Hobbs was out, and Tyreek Hill got lined up, not on the outside doing his like deep take the top off thing. He was running around the middle of the field as a slot receiver on short and intermediate routes and absolutely lit the Raiders up. I feel like that's a cheat code for Mike McDaniel, and I love it going forward because it fits right into what he's been trying to do with Tua in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and that's get rid of the ball as fast as you possibly can to take some pressure off getting banged around by the defensive line. And Tyreek fits right in. He looked like a cheetah last week. This week, the only thing that the Patriots have going for them, and the Patriots allow 10 points per game more in fantasy than the Raiders to outside wide receivers, very similar in the slot. Christian Gonzalez is not going to be following Tyreek Hill, not to the slot. Tyreek Hill has a fantastic matchup here against the New England Patriots. You brought up Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is playing with Tommy DeVito, Tommy Forget About It, Tommy Cutlets, Tommy We're in the Tank, Tommy Don't Start Malik Neighbors. I think that's his last name. I think that's how you spell it.
What I last heard it as, yeah.
Don't start Malik Neighbors, start Tyreek Hill.
It's crazy because I'm looking at Football Guys rankings right now, and they have Cooper Kupp at number 6, Tyreek at number 9, Malik Neighbors at number 10, JSN at number 12 headed into this week, and Jauan Jennings is on the outskirts at 13. Then you go to Player Profiler, and we've got Malik at 9. So Malik is starting and in the consensus as the number 1 guy in both of their rankings. Tyreek in number 2 at number 10 and in Player Profiler. JSN at number 14. Jauan Jennings at 16. And Cooper Kupp was number 6. So Cooper Kupp was the top ranked guy out of both Player Profiler and Football Guys here. So this is splitting hairs here, guys, and it's a tough one because I'm in a spot where either way, any one of these guys could go off. It's just a matter of picking which one will.
Yeah, but are you really going to trust somebody that hasn't sent me my sweatshirt that I won at the raffle at the poker tournament yet?
No, I shouldn't. So who football guys didn't send you your raffle. So I shouldn't be trusting them. All right, then.
I was like, damn, it sounds like someone's getting subtweeted here.
Wait, when I won the listener league, did I get my $100 prize?
Probably.
No. So what?
Wow. Them's fighting words.
I'm just joking.
Oh,
football
see,
guys
I was right.
I'm just serious.
No. No. The shade isn't out on them. They're amazing. And let's talk about really the situation at hand. Schultzy, where do you weigh in here?
Pretty much everything Big said. As my instant gut was, I'm not touching anything Tommy DeVito with a 10-foot pole.
All right. And then Chev, you were trying to convince me out of the hill. Are you still on that train now?
100%. I am. So Tyreek's went off, was 8 targets, 7 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So if we take the touchdown away, that's 7 for 61, which is basically what Malik Neighbors is going to give you every single week. The Bucs can't stop a nosebleed on defense. Malik Neighbors is going to get 14 or 15 targets. I mean, that's about where he's been. Tyreek's volume is nowhere near where it was last year when he was going to break the record. This, to me, is a Devon Achane legacy game, and this is a Malik Neighbors statement game to say, hey, like, I'm the future of the franchise. Get me Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward and watch me cook. So I'm firmly on the Malik Neighbors side. I have been a Daniel Jones denier for years and eons and said fade Malik Neighbors because of this. But if there was ever a matchup that you could trust him, like the Bucs can't do anything. They just can't. They can't do anything to stop the pass. It's just fact. Like, maybe they draft somebody, maybe, magically they do something, schematically to where they can take Malik Neighbors away. But we've got 11 weeks of data that says they're not going to be able to stop him. And on top of that, the Patriots can't stop the run. So Devon Achane might give us like 2023 Denver Broncos type numbers. So with that being said, I can't count on Tyreek to get the same type of volume that would, absolutely put you over the top like he would have last year. He's more of like a back end wide receiver one as his ceiling, as opposed to like Omega level, like gonna win you your week type of thing. Whereas I think Malik Neighbors could, especially since he hadn't scored in like 5 games.
So what's your all stance on Jauan Jennings? Rest of season. He's played he's played the Brandon Ayuk role probably better than Brandon Ayuk played it.
He hasn't. He's a slot receiver that's playing out of the slot. Brandon Ayuk is an outside boundary receiver that plays out of the boundary. And Jauan Jennings has been just fine in his normal role. Ricky Pearsall is the one that has been taking the boundary targets that were vacated by Brandon Ayuk. And Jauan Jennings has a fantastic matchup this week. I haven't looked at rest of the season, but this week Green Bay does give up a lot to the slot, and I like it.
Oh, Jauan Jennings is in must-start territory until the 49ers show you that they're going to do something different. I think he's up over like 3 yards per route run.
I was just about to bring that up. Ryan Heath was talking about him the other day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was talking about him as his must-start player for the rest of the season. He's his flag plant. So, I mean, looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, and I want to say A.J. Brown are the only people with a higher yards per route run than Jauan Jennings on the season. So, I mean, you can't take him out of your lineup. The volume plus like elite quarterback. That feels weird to say about Brock Purdy, but it is what it is, man. Like, we got to adjust. So, yeah, I can't take Jauan Jennings out of my lineup if I have him. I've been trying to trade for him in Dynasty quite a bit, and it is getting more and more expensive by the day.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's move on. I'm going to kind of skip the injury topic, because we went on 10 minutes on my start and sit question, which I still don't have an answer to. But
we don't have a time limit.
I
gave you your answer.
I didn't hear no bell.
I hear no bell. Well, let's move on to, Joe Douglas getting fired from the New York Jets. They're in rebuild mode. The team is sitting at 3-8, and they had a promising season fallen apart due to a combination of poor quarterback play, lack of offensive consistency. So this move sends shockwaves now through the fantasy aspect. So what are our thoughts on Garrett Wilson moving forward? Chev, what do you think on Garrett Wilson with this big move here? Because Aaron Rodgers is now, his future is in jeopardy as far as dynasty goes. Where is your aspect on Garrett Wilson?
Well, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers moves on, they draft a quarterback, and with their history and propensity for drafting the wrong quarterback, I mean, you have to be somewhat nervous. But I mean, Garrett Wilson is with, replacement level quarterback play. We see what he is. I mean, he's leading the league in targets. He's gotten what will end up being the most targets through 3 seasons for a wide receiver ever. He's elite, but if he goes back to having like Zach Wilson level quarterback play, then he goes back to being like a wide receiver 3 that's valued like a wide receiver 1, and you'll have to sell low because you don't know when he's going to get a good quarterback again. I've enjoyed this season a great deal as somebody who's kind of had his bags packed and had to sit by the door for 2 seasons. But I mean, I'm fully prepared to acknowledge the fact that he could go back to producing as a wide receiver 3 again, and it sucks.
Yeah. So what about Breece Hall there, Biggs? This is probably a good move for him, who's, obviously has his role set there. Every team needs a starting running back. And, with the combination of him and Braylon Allen, where do you see this headed for Breece Hall as far as his dynasty? Because I know you sold him last week for a hefty price. Are you in a mode of selling Breece Hall for the right price, obviously, but what's his long-term value for him?
I think his long-term value hasn't changed at all. I am in a situation in that league where there's not another league that I'm in that I would have sold him. I had to do something at the trade deadline, which was last week in this league, and I had to do it last week. And I did it with somebody who was just as desperate to get a running back as I was to get out of that running back. So it worked out for me as far as the package was concerned. The thing about Breece Hall, is he's a top 5 guy for the foreseeable future, period. And it's gonna stay that way. He's got the size, he's got the profile, he has the usage rates, he's gonna be fine. He is a GM, quarterback, head coach proof fantasy asset. Garrett Wilson is the same. It doesn't matter if you have Zach Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or whoever is going to come in, and Garrett Wilson is going to be the dude. We've seen that over time. That said, I don't to piggyback off that, I don't think that a GM change in New York moves the needle for me at all. I think all the assets remain exactly where they were at before.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a quarterback situation that kind of fluctuates at this stage because the year of Aaron Rodgers next year probably is not going to happen in New York that it might have happened on this regular regime that they would have had. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about this Detroit Lions unstoppable team right now. Jared Goff having a good year, not quite as prolific as it was last year, but he's having a decent season. So, sign that big contract. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, adding such a huge dynamic to this rushing upside here. So as far as things go for Jahmyr Gibbs, he's been a reliable RB1. He's had 100 rushing yards 4 of his last 5 games. He's been a versatile runner. His receiving has been off the charts. They haven't needed him in every game situation. So where does he rank among your RB in Dynasty right now there, Schultzy? Is Jahmyr Gibbs top 3, top 2, top 1, top 5? Where does he rank for you?
Shoot, man, I'd probably at this point he's looking like he's the top 3 guy for me. The one concern anybody ever had about, well, first of all, the undersized concern was stupid the whole time. But in the league itself, the one concern people have had is Montgomery. And this offense just pounds the shit out of people, and they don't care. And they just keep laying on the points, and they're not going to stop. Like Dan Campbell's, I know, sure, you can say Ben Johnson this, Ben Johnson that. But the fact of the matter is Dan Campbell is going to employ a staff and instill in his coaches that we're never going to take it off the pedal. So it doesn't matter who steps in next. They're still going to lay it on you, and they're still not going to stop. So, yeah, fire up Gibbs, man.
It's crazy. It was almost like the most opposite game script you'd ever see last week.
Yeah.
You see, like, normally a team succeed in the passing game, and then they rely on the running game to close out a game. It was like, oh, they started in their most effective part of their game, which was their running game, 2 top 12 running backs. And then they closed out the game with Jared Goff throwing 4 touchdowns and Amon-Ra St. Brown going off for his best game of the season. So such a weird situation there. And these Detroit Lions are playing lights out. Their defense is playing good. Now, Biggs, what about Jameson Williams? What are your thoughts on him now? Because he's been able to open up the field in key situations against the right matchup. Is he just a plug and play kind of guy for you moving forward? Best ball hero. You got to look at the matchup before putting him in your lineup.
Yeah, and there's nothing count onable. There's nothing consistent enough with Jameson Williams to make sure that he's solidly in your flex 1 or flex 2 or whatever. Just because he has, we tend to think in terms of like, oh, well, this guy has some spike games in best ball, right? But what that also means is that in managed leagues, he has 0 games. He has 2-point games. He has 4-point games. And I think that's where Jameson Williams is at right now. He has to be a matchup play. He has to be a bye week Hail Mary. I don't have faith in him, although that's not to say anything about his talent. Like I love his talent level. It's just that I can't count on him for anything.
Yeah. All right. I 100% agree with you there. It's just more of like where you got to play him is the right situation in the right games, script. Now, Chev, I'm going to move on to you because there's an elephant in the closet here with that offense, and that's Sam LaPorta. He was the number 1 dynasty tight end headed into this year. It was consensus. He was, the tight end 1 last year as a rookie. So there was no reason not to put him in that category. But if you were like me who faded him hard this offseason, I had him as my tight end 5 headed into this year based off his usage, his touchdown regression. I saw some Jameson Williams situation coming in, affecting his upside, and they're run heavy. Now, as far as Sam LaPorta goes, where do you see him in Dynasty right now, as far as your rankings go, and as far as his upside? Obviously, he's got that upside. He's still very young, and that could progress in his late 20s to be prolific. But as far as that offense goes right now, where do you see him, and where is he ranked for you in Dynasty right now?
He would still be in the more like 5 to 7 range for me. My co-host and I both were kind of like, man, this is a funky looking tight end 1 for Dynasty. Like, he got 120 targets, he had 80 catches, he had 800 yards, he had 10 touchdowns, and he finishes as the nominal tight end 1. Travis Kelce still tied him in points per game, but we all saw that elephant in the room. Like, I don't think that they're going to run the offense through him the way that they did last year. That they just paid Amon-Ra St. Brown $120 million. They gave David Montgomery, they brought David Montgomery in, and that role is solidified as like the big back hammer. Jamal Williams started it. David Montgomery is Jamal Williams times 1 million. And they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs 12th. So it's like, there's got to be somebody who's going to kind of be on the outs here. And, you wanted to believe, well, a lot of us wanted to believe that Jameson Williams would kind of be, I view him as the way that you have to view Will Fuller back in the day. Like, yes, he has the potential to score an 80-yard touchdown, but he also could give you zeros. So that, Biggs hit that right on the head. So he's, a boom bust wide receiver 3 or 4 with wide receiver 1 upside if he hits the home run. So I think Sam LaPorta, personally, all those factors factor into him being more of a 5 to 7 guy. If Jameson Williams is out of this offense, then again, he'll move up the tight end rankings, but you just can't count on him. You can't count on him for anything other than, mid tight end, 5 to 7. Like, that like, hey, maybe he catches a touchdown. Like, him and Tucker Kraft are almost interchangeable at this point from a production standpoint, because of the fact that you just can't count on any sort of reliable volume that you would from like a Trey McBride or, for Brock Bowers. I think I said on the first show that I showed up, I traded Sam LaPorta in a third for Brock Bowers, and I couldn't have been more thrilled about that. Like, I was like, please accept this, because I would have given up a second, like, just to move off of Sam LaPorta. I tried so hard. Trey McBride was my tight end 1 going into the season, but like, I had Sam LaPorta. I tried to trade him to the Trey McBride owner, and I got shot down like viciously. So I've wanted to move off of that for a while. I didn't trust him because that offense has so many pieces, and that was the one piece that I felt like the volume would fluctuate. Everybody else is pretty solidified, and that's pretty much played out exactly how a lot of us thought that it would.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, let's move on to our next segment then, guys. Let's do stock up, stock down. So, Schultzy, let's start with you. Let's get into who's your number 1 stock up here in Dynasty here?
It's got to be Ladd McConkey. And he's been rising and rising and rising. And at this point, you got to buy. He's going to keep going up. He's solidified himself as the number 1 target here on an offense that is performing better than people thought. And the one thing I do love about Ladd here is he's got 615 yards. His targets have been steady, 4 touchdowns on the year. It's been a great rookie season for him so far, but he's had tough matchups overall. We love to look at like the green matchup, like on Sleeper, where he's in the bottom third of someone. He's had 2 of those games all year. And those 2 were like, it was the Panthers and the Bengals, who were like 9th and 10th lowest. So he hasn't even hit the like super cupcake pass defenses yet. And I haven't looked ahead to see if he gets any down the stretch here.
Yeah, he plays the Bucs in week 15 or 16.
Oh, heck yeah, fire that up. But the main point being is just that he's done everything we've seen with, honestly, probably as hard of a first 10 games you'll throw at a rookie wide receiver. Like,
he's elite, man.
Yeah, like, he has proven everything you want to see. The chemistry is building great. He's had 2 dud games all year. One was against Tennessee 2 weeks ago, number 1 pass defense in the league. The other one was week 2, where they kicked the crap out of the Panthers. He's done nothing to say like he hasn't warranted any draft status, real life or fantasy. He's been an absolute bargain in fantasy. I mean, unless you were one of the people who like really, really reached for him, and even then, you were still right. Fire up, Ladd. Go get him.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Hashtag dads for Ladd.
Yeah.
I think we're all dads here. And
we're all dads. We're all dads for Lads here.
Dads for Ladd. Let's go.
You can't go wrong with Ladd McConkey now. Let's move on to who's next on the slate. Let's go Biggs here. Who's your stock up?
My first stock up is going to be Malik Washington. Here's a guy. This guy was basically a do-it-all kick returner, wide receiver, run him out of the backfield in college, and the Miami Dolphins are starting to give him a little bit of playing time, doing that same kind of thing, kind of like a Deebo Samuel, if you will. And I know his draft capital isn't that high, but if I'm watching the Miami Dolphins offense over the last couple weeks, the usage rate from Malik Washington is starting to rise, and they got some old guys in that wide receiver room by the name of Tyreek Hill. And I know Jalen Waddle isn't old, but he's older. And I really have a feeling that Malik Washington is going to become a huge part of this offense in the next couple of years. So his stock is rising, and it's time to take advantage and go grab him now.
So do you think rest of season he carves himself out a role if I'm like a Scott Fishbowl kind of, contender? Am I looking at him as a guy because he's got some, kick return upside too?
You have to kind of pay attention to the role. It's not like he's getting a lot of usage. I'm just noticing that he started off the season hurt, and the reason that I know about him is because of the Scott Fishbowl, and I drafted him in the Scott Fishbowl thinking that here's a guy that can return kicks. He had 10 points in week 10 against the Rams. He had 40% snap share in week 11 against the Raiders, a couple of targets, a couple of carries. He actually did return punts. He's been returning punts for the last 4 weeks. So I'd take a shot on him if he's on the waiver wire in the Scott Fishbowl. But in dynasty leagues, if you can give up a late, like a fifth rounder in 2026 and grab yourself some Malik Washington shares, I would absolutely do that.
All right, there you have it. Okay, so Chevy, let's get on to you. Who's your stock up?
Drake Maye. Drake fucking
Maye. Yeah.
I have been one. I was a little hesitant on him just because he was like fundamentally raw, but what he did in college is exactly what he is doing now. Like he's able to play off schedule. He's able to make off platform throws. He's way more athletic than you give him credit for. And like the rushing floor alone is what makes me excited. Like he put that on display from week 1. I think he's got the 6th most rushing yards through 4 starts ever. Well, not ever, since the year 2000. It's like Robert Griffin III, Cam Newton, Michael Vick. It's like a who's who. Tim Tebow. Like obviously Tim doesn't really belong with those other names, but like he's got an elite rushing floor, and he's able to. I mean, the ball placement, the accuracy, the willingness to take like shots and not just play like safe, like underneath ball. If you get him a weapon, he's going to be my most aggressive buy in Dynasty over the course of this offseason. If they get him a T. Higgins, if they get him a Ted McMillan, it's the young quarterback paired with an elite wide receiver thing that you saw. You saw what happened with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. You saw the leap that Jalen Hurts took as a fantasy asset when he got A.J. Brown. I think this is my most aggressive buy right now in Dynasty because of the fact that like he's already got an elite rushing floor. You see that he's willing to push the ball down the field, and he's doing it with the Booty Warrior, Kayshon Boutte, Hunter Henry, Pop Douglas, Kendrick Bourne. Like these guys are 3rd wide receivers for just about any other team, and he's making them into semi-usable, productive options. So if he gets an elite weapon, he would automatically be like a top 10 quarterback for me, maybe even higher than that because of the rushing floor.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him on with T. Higgins next year, unlike on the Raiders, as Biggs is predicting.
Well, I mean, T. Higgins is from Nashville, and we got $75 million in cap space.
Keep your stinking Patriots' hands off of the Raiders' future wide receivers.
Hey, look, I'm just a messenger. I mean, like I said, he's from Nashville, so I mean,
my stock up is Browns pass catcher, last name of Whiteheart. Don't know his first name. He's number 86.
There you go.
It's not
All right,
Jokers, so he's a jerk.
All right. Well, my stock up is Marvin Mims, and I think he's finally starting to live up to some of that hype in his second season with the Broncos. 49 yards and a touchdown on just 2 catches last week. He made his most of his opportunities, a 37-yard wheel route for a touchdown. He had 3 carries for 17 yards in that game. He's got that flash speed, and he was Sean Payton's, only real draft pick last year. They moved up to get him, and he's starting to evolve in that offense a bit. Obviously, was a rookie last year. He's starting to kind of get integrated into that offense, and I think his stock is starting to move up here. And he may not be a prolific option this year, but it's starting to come around for Marvin Mims. And, with Bo Nix as the starting quarterback there, he's becoming, a top 12 dynasty asset at this stage. So Marvin Mims is going to be kind of moving along with him, and I'm going to go on the Bo Nix train and catch on to that. And I think Marvin Mims has got some upside here.
Year 3 breakout, baby, incoming. I don't know.
Hopefully.
He just needs an opportunity. He needs a real opportunity. Every time you've given him the ball, he's shown you, hey, I'm really good. Maybe you should use me. And Sean Payton's like, no.
Calm down.
Little Jordan Humphrey has earned his right to some snaps here, guys. Let this little guy just sit over there and be my gadget guy that I might never use.
I drafted him in the rookie draft in my home league, and it says a lot that I don't have him on my roster anymore because he's still in his second year, and I have a tendency to hold on to guys for too long in that league. But when it came time to draft our rookie draft this year, and then I had to make some drops, he got cut. And we know his potential. We know that he's a deep threat. I'm tired of his ADOT. We know he can do more than that. It's a matter of Sean Payton not giving them the looks that he needs.
Yeah.
Tired of my wide receivers flag plants like Marvin Mims and Treylon Burks just getting wasted by terrible coaches.
Well, I think it's a work in progress, and he's showing some potential. He's starting to get some trust in Sean Payton, so I'm hoping to see that.
He
change.
didn't earn that week 1 of his rookie season.
No, apparently not. Not with going, for a big play. I don't know, Biggs. I can't explain Sean Payton at this stage of my life. All right, let's get into a stock down. Schultzy, start us off.
All right. I'm going to go for where to go here? Aaron Rodgers. Seems pretty obvious, but it's more of a I don't know. I was never on board with him this offseason. People were writing him up to high-end wide or QB2 for a guy who is off a bad Achilles, doesn't run. I just was never in on this, and it all fell apart. The stock's down, man, and it's not coming back up. So if you can get anything for him, you got to do it, because there's no chance there's any coming back from this, right? I don't know. If you can take anything, I would take anything for Aaron Rodgers. I didn't want anything to do with him to start. So, yeah, I stock down. Wheels have fallen apart. Get out of there.
There you have it. I love it. All right. Biggs, who's your stock down?
My stock down is, Cedric Tillman. That was a shot to the head. My stock down is going to be Travis Etienne. I still love Travis Etienne, and I think that moving forward, starting in 2025, he still has the skill set. He still has the profile. He still has the talent and the ability to be a top 5 running back once again. But right now is not the time. And because his stock is down, it's buy time. So go, if you are in a rebuilding team, go get yourself as many shares of Travis Etienne for somebody else who's older from a contending team. If there's a contender out there with Etienne just sitting on his bench, send him somebody that might help him a week or two down the road in the playoffs this year. Grab on to that Etienne share because his stock is probably at the lowest it's going to be for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I agree there. And yeah, he may even be, well, Schultzy said he signed that the 5th-year option, so he's going to be in Jacksonville next year, most likely. Don't know what the coaching staff is, so there is some uncertainty there. So there could be a gamble that Etienne could be the guy.
That could only be a bonus, and then also
that's how I look at it. They've pigeonholed him into the offense rather than dialing things up for his strengths.
And then you have the possibility of them going out and drafting his brother Trevor and having a double Etienne backfield. And how much better is he going to be? He's going to be so happy if that happens that he's just going to run wild. It'll be great.
Man, RIP fantasy managers next season when there's 2 Etiennes. Oh, God.
I can't wait for my auction drafts when I nominate an auction RB Etienne. Put them both on Jacks also.
There you go. All right. Chev, who's your stock down?
Michael Pittman. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out. I want no parts of this. I understand that, he's working his way through a back injury, but I've been a big Josh Downs guy through and through. I'm also a big Adonai Mitchell guy. That just kind of leaves Michael Pittman as to operate in the same areas of the field where Josh Downs is clearly more dynamic. Alec Pierce is no longer just running cardio routes because Anthony Richardson has a howitzer and he will launch the ball down the field. And with this back injury, Michael Pittman is, just kind of doing stuff. I mean, they're still giving him the targets. He led the team in targets with 6 last week. And that turned into 5 for 46. Essentially, he's just kind of a catch and fall down guy, and that doesn't really interest me very much. I mean, give me Josh Downs, give me the almost unlimited potential of Adonai Mitchell, give me Alec Pierce who's stretching the field. Like, where does Michael Pittman fit in for the future of this offense? I know they're somewhat contractually obligated to him because he's the only receiver on his second contract, but I could see this, them either phasing him out of the offense or just looking to make a deal for some other wide receiver needy team and some sucker taking the bag. So, yeah, I'm done with Michael Pittman. That's my guy. I'm stock down. I'm stock out. I'm trying to sell wherever
stock
I have
out.
Yeah. Close the market bells. Whatever you want to do. Yeah, I'm done. I don't want any parts of it.
Yeah, me either. I was out on him before the season started, so didn't have to convince me on that one. So my stock down is Tony Pollard. So Chev, I know you're a Titan, faithful here, but as far as Dynasty goes, Tony Pollard ain't my guy. I wasn't high on him getting into this season, and he showed me wrong. So I'm treading carefully with this call, but he's only averaged 10.5 points per game in 2024, which ranks him 24th at the position. Over the last 5 games, he's failed to find the end zone, totaling just 343 rushing yards and 59 receiving yards, and that was with Spears out. Spears is dealing with a concussion now, so he's in and out of the lineup, but he's got that potential to continue to work into that lineup. And Pollard was kind of a guy that I thought as a 1 or 2 year band-aid. And I think that if you can make some bank on Tony Pollard while his stock is a little bit higher and it's starting to fade a bit, if you can make some money off of that and get that asset into something better, I'd be looking at that right now with Tony Pollard.
I mean, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, I mean, he's at the age cliff. Like, He's at the age cliff. He's in an offense that'll have a lot of question marks going into 2025. Tyjae Spears is probably just as dynamic as he is. Like, I don't have any qualms about anything that you just said.
All right. Well, let's get into you want to do let's just recap because Schultzy wasn't here last week. Let's just let him relive his rewind to week 10.
I thought we had some stuff that we were going to nail him on.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're
doing that thing right now.
He's revisiting his week 10 studs and duds. So when he went into week 10 and was like, "Okay, folks, I want you all to start Sam Darnold and sit Justin Herbert." Do you want to relive that one, Schultzy, for us?
Well, what had happened was I actually wrote it down the other way, and I read it wrong on the show.
Yeah. That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah. So here I am, the Jags fan, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Sam Darnold versus the Jags. What do? I don't know. They played defense for a little bit for once. So that was the thing. I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, Justin Herbert versus the best pass defense in the league versus a bad offense. You know, defensive team. They're going to run the ball. It's going to be a classic, khaki Harbaugh game coming in hot. Got me good.
Your week 10 was just as stupid as Mike's week 11. What an idiot. Now, if you had listened to me last week for week 11, I told you to start Jonnu Smith. What does he do? He goes out and gets 28 points and finishes as the tight end 3. And I said, sit Jalen Waddle on his ass on your bench. And what does he do? Wide receiver 61. So I wasn't as dumb as somebody saying sit James Cook because he went ballistic.
Did not go ballistic. He had like 30 rushing yards, but he did get in for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I said start Jonnu Smith. That was right. I said sit Jalen Waddle. That was absolutely correct as well. How about you, Chev? Were you dumb like Mike?
Oh no, I'm a legendary ball knower. I'm never wrong. I'm always early. So you can count on me last night, tomorrow, yesterday. Also, time is a flat circle. So I'm never wrong, period. So I said to start Josh Jacobs, and that worked out pretty well. I don't have the numbers on the top of my head, but I know he had a pretty strong game. I know he had like 4 for 57 on the ground. He scored a rushing touchdown. Or no, he had 4 for 57 receiving, and he scored a rushing touchdown. So let me just tell you where he finished in full PPR because, I like to scam people.
I guarantee you he was RB something.
Yeah, he was RB for sure. Let's see here. Week 11.
Probably lower than RB2, higher than RB 83.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs last week was RB5 in full PPR. 76 rushing yards, 58 receiving yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 4 catches to go along with 4 catches. So yeah. Josh Jacobs said to start him. You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That was a great call. I told people to start.
Wait, you also said set Kirk Cousins. How'd that work out?
Oh, that worked out fantastic. He finished as quarterback 28 on the week, put up 5.9 fantasy points, 173 passing yards, 1 interception, no passing touchdowns. He did have 1 rushing yard. Or no, nice. 1 rush attempt, 0 yards. So, yeah, 5.9 fantasy points.
Hey, you told people to put him on their bench, and he himself found the bench.
There you go.
And now, going into the bye week, they're like, hey, when are we going to see Michael Penix?
So apparently last week, Mike was the only faceplant.
What? I had 1 bad call, and I called Cortland Sutton. Didn't you call James Cook on another show? And then, Chev, didn't you call James Cook on another show? So – fuck you both.
I was just talking about me legendarily knowing ball. I didn't say anything about you, Mike.
I'm just saying.
I was just giving you shit, Mike. We all
I
had
know.
James Cook on one show or another last week
Exactly.
because
I mean,
he had
my
the worst matchup of the season. And then what do we know?
I love it. The process was clean, so don't grind me for that one. I could have done the same thing on Player Profiler.
I know. You should have.
I didn't.
Because
I didn't know I was going to get the heat later.
You got your hand on the knife, and
you'll have another opportunity on points after Thursday. So,
all right, I love you guys.
If you got your hand on the knife and you don't twist it, what are you doing?
Fair. All right, let's get into our starts and sits of the week. We got to plow through this because we got a show in about 15 minutes live, Big. So,
this fourth quarter is going to take a lot longer than that.
All right. Well, Schultzy, who's your start of the week?
Kareem Hunt.
Interesting.
You said we had to make it fast.
All right. Okay.
You want me to say some more? Okay.
Good job.
Playing the Panthers. Panthers suck on run defense, and the Chiefs are probably going to kick their ass. Kareem Hunt.
Even with Pacheco back.
I'm still starting Kareem Hunt.
Is Pacheco for sure playing? Do we know that?
I don't know. I thought he was.
This is week two of the practice window, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be active this game. The only question is volume. I mean,
I think you're going to see a game where they're like there's zero reason to push him out like harder than they would want to.
I think he spells Hunt a bit. I don't think to me personally, I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of run. They don't need to, but they could be the opposite and just let him run to the ground. Biggs, what do you think?
I think sit Justin Fields.
Last night, tomorrow?
Last night, right now. He had a huge run, and then the next play in, it was like, okay, we'll let that work once. And he gets tackled for loss. Like, come on, okay. No, I don't know. I don't own Chiefs. I'm not the one to ask. I don't have any Kareem Hunt. I have 0 Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not the one to ask on that one.
All right. So who's your sit, Schultzy?
Malik Neighbors. We hit on it earlier. I'm not touching Mr. DeVito. He had his little fun Minshew moment for like a game or two last year. And as soon as it happened, the book was out, just like Minshew. And this guy sucks. And he sucks will even worse.
Peace.
Not sure why I just got muted for a second and just did that to me. I didn't do that, I promise. DeVito's really bad. They're tanking, and they're actively doing it. They're not even like trying to hide it. They went from first string to third string quarterback. I'm not touching Neighbors. He's like, even with Daniel Jones, the last 3-4 games just have not been super hot. I don't see any reason Tommy DeVito is going to make it better.
That's fair. All right, there, Biggs. Who you got for starting sits this week?
My start is we talked about him earlier, Ladd McConkey. The Chargers face Baltimore. Baltimore is the number one points against for wide receivers as a matchup is concerned. And while they do tend to suppress the slot a little bit, once Mike Williams, good Lord, Brendon, once Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer start getting open down the side of the sidelines, down the boundary, and Justin Herbert starts hitting them on a cup, and it's going to open up the middle of the field and just little short passes to Ladd McConkey, and he's going to go in for 12 targets, 8 catches, and a touchdown. So start him.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if Baltimore gets ahead and Chargers got to throw the ball 45 times.
Okay, who's your sit, bud?
My sit is going to be Keenan Allen. Now, there's been a lot of controversy in the Chicago scuttlebutt, and they faced Minnesota this week. Now, you would think, just like looking at the matchup, that Minnesota, I mean, they allow 21 points per game to wideouts. They allow only 12 points a game to slot receivers, and Keenan Allen takes 60% of his snaps out of the slot. He's not doing it against Minnesota, and Yeah, it's going to be a bad day for the Bears. Bad news for the Bears. Sit Keenan Allen.
Bad news, Bears, right? Is that how it goes?
Bernstein.
Oh, sorry. All right there, Chev. Who do you got as your start and sits this week, bud?
My start of the week is Brian Robinson Jr. Yeah, love Brian Robinson this week. Finally healthy. Looked like himself in the limited work that he got against the Eagles. This is a much softer matchup against the Cowboys, who apparently just don't have any interest in trying to stop the run this year. In a game script that I think is going to be just overwhelmingly positive. I think that he's going to get the majority of the work and probably fall into the end zone at least once, if not twice. So, yeah, I'm real keyed up for Brian Robinson this week.
Yeah, me too. I have him as one of my starts as well. So what do you got as your sit then? Who we on our bench this week?
Jakobi Meyers. Yeah. The way that they kind of move him around, I think that he's going to be extremely useful as he's not going to be able to be extremely useful against PS2 and the Broncos defense. I don't trust Gardner Minshew as far as I can throw him, and that also is exacerbated by the fact that he's gonna just not be able to be used because he's going to be shadowed by Patrick Surtain or, like Riley Moss, the other only white corner in the NFL. So, yeah, give me Jakobi Meyers as my sit of the week.
Here you go. Yeah, I have him too. I love it there, Chev. We're on the same page. So when next week, when we both take a heap of our own, loss, we'll do it together hand in hand. All right. So my starts and sits this week. Let's start off with, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert as my start of the week to go along with Biggs's lad. I think this match.
Pretty sure you pronounce it Air Bear.
Yeah. Hébert. It's Hébert in Canada here. And they're facing the Baltimore Ravens, who have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, 284 yards per game in the air. Herbert has been impressive lately, making him a top option this week. He's got 67 fantasy points over the last 3 games, which is just over 22 points per game. I love his situation against this weak pass defense. The Ravens have allowed 5 quarterbacks to throw over 300 yards this season. That means they're vulnerable to the pass. I think Herbert is just set up here, and Ladd McConkey as well. They're going to have a heyday against this weak Baltimore Ravens pass defense. And then my sit of the week is DeAndre Swift against the Minnesota Vikings. I had Tony Pollard as a sit last week, so I'm going to have DeAndre Swift this week. And the Vikings are really, really tough against the run. And, Swift is a little banged up as well, and Roschon Johnson has emerged a little bit here as well since, the coaching change. I just think that things are changing a little bit here in Chicago, back to we saw a little bit earlier in the season with more of a split here, and Swift's injury against the Vikings run defense, I think this is a really tough sledding match here for him. So I'm got Swift on the bench.
Same
Different
show.
Same. Yeah, exactly. We have the different shows, same sheet. We should just have like a list of our guys, and like I'll do this show, this one, and it just
rotate.
Yeah. I'll do Swift this week, and we share notes. Just read off the same one. But no, it's like-minded. This week was tough because there's 6 buys, and there's not a whole lot of sledding going on outside of like tough matchups. So there wasn't many shockers here as far as start and sits go. So fuck yeah.
For everybody who's watching up to this point, I want to say thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for hanging in there. Go to Underdog and use code Undroppables or Undroppable, and you'll get a deposit match. Also, download the Fast Draft app. Go to fastdraft.app and draft yourself the Fast Draft app. As well, go to Fantasy Sports Network, Fantasy Sports Advice Network.com, and download the Fantasy Sports Advice Network app. Also follow Player Profiler News, the Undroppables, Fantasy Football Plus, Fantasy Football Advice Network, and all of that stuff. Like and subscribe, hit the bell, and all that. And if you download the Fast Draft app at fastdraft.app and you enter promo code BIGBONEDED, BIGBONEDED, you just might get an email from Player Profiler founder Matt Kelly offering to deposit match for you. So go ahead and do that because it's a super fun game. It's DFS. It's best ball. It's super fast drafts. That's why it's called Fast Draft. Like 20-second clock, baby. You can do batches. You can like put in your rankings and then set it to draft 10 teams for you, and you'll get an email saying that you're done. And then also Underdog. Go spend your money over there and use the code Undroppable. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and they'll go ahead and give you the support that you need to, maybe make a life change. So yeah.
Hey, I've drafted fast while pooping, man.
Right on the shitter.
I love it.
I pick fast, but I've never been in a fast draft until the fastdraft.app.
That's what I'm saying, man. You can just zip right through them.
My favorite is picking fast with an 8-hour clock in a slow draft. Because it's like, boom, it's your time to draft. Cool, I got it. And then 8 hours later.
8 hours later. Wow. Well, everybody, from all of us on the Dynasty Pulse, on the Fantasy Football Plus Network, and the Undroppables, what do we say at the end of the show, Biggs?
Unless your name is Sean Raycraft, Big Draft Energy, or Mike Lindberg, I hope you win.
I hope you win.
Hope you win.
I hope everyone wins except for my co-host.
Same. Again.
Same.
Same.